Hello everyone. Question is, a company is implementing an application on Amazon EC2 instances. The application needs to process incoming transactions. When the application detects a transaction that is not valid, the application must send a chat message to the company's support team. To send the message, the application needs to retrieve the access token to authenticate by using the chat API. A developer needs to implement a solution to store the access token. The access token must be encrypted at rest and in transit. The access token must also be accessible from other AWS accounts. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least management overhead? Option A. Use an AWS Systems Manager parameter store security string parameter that uses an AWS Key Management Service AWS KMS AWS Managed Key to store the access token. Add a resource-based policy to the parameter to allow access from other accounts. Update the IAM role of the EC2 instances with permissions to access parameter store. Retrieve the token from parameter store with the decrypt flag enabled. Use the decrypted access token to send the message to the chat. Option B. Encrypt the access token by using an AWS Key Management Service AWS KMS Customer Managed Key. Store the access token in an Amazon DynamoDB table. Update the IAM role of the EC2 instances with permissions to access DynamoDB and AWS KMS. Retrieve the token from Dynamo. Decrypt the token by using AWS KMS on the EC2 instances. Use the decrypted access token to send the message to the chat. Option C. Use AWS Secrets Manager with an AWS Key Management Service AWS KMS Customer Managed Key to store the access token. Add a resource-based policy to the secret to allow access from other accounts. Update the IAM role of the EC2 instances with permissions to access Secrets Manager. Retrieve the token from Secrets Manager. Use the decrypted access token to send the messages to the chat. Option D. Encrypt the access token by using an AWS Key Management Service AWS KMS AWS Managed Key. Store the access token in an Amazon S3 bucket. Add a bucket policy to the S3 bucket to allow access from other accounts. Update the IAM role of the EC2 instances with permissions to access Amazon S3 and AWS KMS. Retrieve the token from the S3 bucket. Decrypt the token by using AWS KMS on the EC2 instances. Use the decrypted access token to send the message to the chat. Correct answer is option A. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, a company is running Amazon EC2 instances in multiple AWS accounts. A developer needs to implement an application that collects all the lifecycle events of the EC2 instances. The application needs to store the lifecycle events in a single Amazon Simple Queue service Amazon SQS queue in the company's main AWS accounts for further processing. Which solution will meet these requirements? Option A. Configure Amazon EC2 to deliver the EC2 instance lifecycle events from all accounts to the Amazon Event Bridge event bus of the main account. Add an event bridge rule to the event bus of the main account that matches all EC2 instance lifecycle events. Add the SQS queue as a target of the rule. Option B. Use the resource policies of the SQS queue in the main account to give each account permissions to write to that SQS queue. Add to the Amazon Event Bridge event bus of the each account an event bridge rule that matches all EC2 instance lifecycle events. Add the SQS queue in the main account as a target of the rule. Option C. Write an AWS Lambda function that scans through all EC2 instances in the company accounts to detect EC2 instance lifecycle changes. Configure the Lambda function to write a notification message to the SQS queue in the main account if the function detects an EC2 instance lifecycle change. Add an Amazon Event Bridge schedule rule that invokes the Lambda function every minute. Option D. Configure the permissions on the main account event bus to receive events from all accounts. Create an Amazon Event Bridge rule in each account to send all the EC2 instance lifecycle events to the main account event bus. Add an Event Bridge rule to the main account event bus that matches all EC2 instance lifecycle events. Set the SQS queue as a target of the rule. Correct answer is option A. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, an application is using Amazon Cognito user pools and identify pools for secure access. A developer wants to integrate the user-specific file upload and download features in the application with Amazon S3. The developer must ensure that the files are saved and retrieved in a secure manner and that users can access only their own files. The file sizes ranges from 3 KB to 300 MB. Which option will meet these requirements with the highest level of security? Option A. Use S3 event notifications to validate the file upload and download request and update the user interface UI. Option B. Save the details of the uploaded files in a separate Amazon DynamoDB table. Filter the list of files in the user interface UI by comparing the current user ID with the user ID associated with the file in the table. Option C. Use Amazon API Gateway and an AWS Lambda function to upload and download files. Validate each request in the Lambda function before performing the requested operation. Option D. Use an IAM policy within the Amazon Cognito identity prefix to restrict users to use their own folders in Amazon S3. Correct answer is option C. Question is, a company is building a scalable data management solution by using AWS services to improve the speed and agility of development. The solution will ingest large volumes of data from various sources and will process this data through multiple business rules and transformations. The solution requires business rules to run in sequence and to handle reprocessing of data if errors occur when the business rules run. The company needs the solution to be scalable and to require the least possible maintenance. Which AWS service should the company use to manage and automate the orchestration of the data flows to meet these requirements? Option A. AWS Batch. Option B. AWS Step Functions. Option C. AWS Glue. Option D. AWS Lambda. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, a developer has created an AWS Lambda function that is written in Python. The Lambda function reads data from objects in Amazon S3 and writes data to an Amazon DynamoDB table. The function is successfully invoked from an S3 event notification when an object is created. However, the function fails when it attempts to write to the DynamoDB table. What is the most likely cause of this issue? Option A. The lambda function's concurrency limit has been exceeded. Option B. DynamoDB table requires a global secondary index GSI to support writes. Option C. The lambda function does not have IAM permissions to write to DynamoDB. Option D. The DynamoDB table is not running in the same availability zone as the lambda function. Correct answer is option C. Question is, a developer is creating an AWS Cloud Formation template to deploy Amazon EC2 instances across multiple AWS accounts. The developer must choose the EC2 instances from a list of approved instance types. How can the developer incorporate the list of approved instance types in the Cloud Formation template? Option A. Create a separate cloud formation template for each EC2 instance type in the list. Option B. In the resource section of the cloud formation template, create resource for each EC2 instance type in the list. Option C. In the cloud formation template, create a separate parameter for each EC2 instance type in the list. Option D. In the cloud formation template, create a parameter with the list of EC2 instance types as allowed values. Correct answer is option D. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, a developer has an application that makes batch requests directly to Amazon DynamoDB by using the batch get item low-level API operation. The responses frequently return values in the unprocessed keys element. Which actions should the developer take to increase the resiliency of the application when the batch response includes values in unprocessed keys? Choose two options. Option A. Retry the batch operation immediately. Option B. Retry the batch operation with exponential backoff and randomized delays. Option C. Update the application to use an AWS Solver Kit AWS SDK to make the requests. Option D. Increase the provisioned read capacity of the DynamoDB tables that the operation accesses. Option E. Increase the provisioned write capacity of the DynamoDB tables that the operation accesses. Correct answer is option B and option C. Question is, a company is running a custom application on a set of an on-premises Linux servers that are accessed using Amazon API Gateway. AWS X-ray tracing has been enabled on the API test stage. How can a developer enable X-ray tracing on the on-premises servers with the least amount of configuration? Option A. Install and run the X-ray SDK on the on-premises servers to capture and relay the data to the X-ray service. Option B. Install and run the X-ray daemon on the on-premises servers to capture and relay the data to the X-ray service. Option C. Capture incoming requests on on-premises and configure an AWS Lambda function to pull, process, and relay relevant data to X-ray using the putTrace_segments API call. Option D. Capture incoming requests on premises and Configure an AWS Lambda function to pull, process, and relay relevant data to X-ray using the Put Telemetry Records API calls. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, a company wants to share information with a third party. The third party has an HTTP API endpoint that the company can use to share the information. The company has the required API key to access the HTTP API. The company needs a way to manage the API key by using code. The investigation of the API key with the application code cannot affect application performance. Which solution will meet these requirements most securely? Option A. Store the API credentials in AWS Secrets Manager. Retrieve the API credentials at runtime by using the AWS SDK. Use the credentials to make the API call. Option B. Store the API credentials in a local code variable. Push the code to a secure Git repository. Use the local code variable at runtime to make the API call. Option C. Store the API credentials as an object in a private Amazon S3 bucket. Restrict access to the S3 object by using IAM policies. Retrieve the API credentials at runtime by using the AWS SDK. Use the credentials to make the API call. Option D. Store the API credentials in an Amazon DynamoDB table. Restrict access to the table by using resource-based policies. Retrieve the API credentials at runtime by using the AWS SDK. Use the credentials to make the API call. Correct answer is option A. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, a developer is deploying a new application to Amazon Elastic Container Service Amazon ECS. The developer needs to securely store and retrieve different types of variables. These variables include authentication information for a remote API, the URL for the API, and credentials. The authentication information and API URL must be available to all current and future deployed versions of the application across development, testing, and production environments. How should the developer retrieve the variables with the fewest application changes? Option A. Update the application to retrieve the variables from AWS Systems Manager Parameter Store. Use unique paths in parameter store for each variable in each environment. Store the credentials in AWS Secrets Manager in each environment. Option B. Update the application to retrieve the variables from AWS Key Management Service AWS KMS. Store the API URL and credentials as unique keys for each environment. Option C. Update the application to retrieve the variables from an encrypted file that is stored with the application. Store the API URL and credentials in unique files for each environment. Option D. Update the application to retrieve the variables from each of the deployed environments. Define the authentication information and API URL in the ECS task definition as unique names during the deployment process. Correct answer is option A. Question is, a company is migrating legacy internal applications to AWS. Leadership wants to rewrite the internal employee directory to use native AWS services. A developer needs to create a solution for storing employee contact details and high-resolution photos for use with the new application. Which solution will enable the search and retrieval of each employee's individual details and high-resolution photos using AWS APIs? Option A, encode each employee's contact information and photos using base 64. Store the information in an Amazon DynamoDB table using a sort key. Option B, store each employee's contact information in an Amazon DynamoDB table along with the object keys for the photos stored in Amazon S3. Option C, use Amazon Cognito user pools to implement the employee directory in a fully managed software as service SaaS method. Option D, store employee contact information in an Amazon RDS DB instance with the photos stored in Amazon Elastic File System Amazon EFS. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, a developer is creating an application that will give users the ability to store photos from their cell phones in the cloud. The application needs to support tens of thousands of users. The application uses an Amazon API Gateway REST API that is integrated with AWS Lambda functions to process the photos. The application stores details about the photos in Amazon DynamoDB. Users need to create an account to access the application. In the application, users must be able to upload photos and retrieve previously uploaded photos. The photos will range in size from 300 KB to 5 MB. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least operational overhead? Option A, use Amazon Cognito user pools to manage user accounts. Create an Amazon Cognito user pool authorizer in API Gateway to control access to the API. Use the Lambda function to store the photos and details in the DynamoDB table. Retrieve previously uploaded photos directly from the DynamoDB table. Option B, use Amazon Cognito user pools to manage user accounts. Create an Amazon Cognito user pool authorizer in API Gateway to control access to the API. Use the Lambda function to store the photos in Amazon S3. Store the object's S3 key as part of the photo details in the DynamoDB table. Retrieve previously uploaded photos by querying DynamoDB for the S3 key. Option C, create an IAM user for each user of the application during the sign-up process. Use IAM authentication to access the API Gateway API. Use the Lambda function to store the photos in Amazon S3. Store the object's S3 key as part of the photo details in the DynamoDB table. Retrieve previously uploaded photos by querying DynamoDB for the S3 key. Option D, create a users table in DynamoDB. Use the table to manage user accounts. Create a Lambda authorizer that validates user credentials against the users table. Integrate the Lambda authorizer with API Gateway to control access to the API. Use the Lambda function to store the photos in Amazon S3. Store the object's S3 key as part of the photo details in the DynamoDB table. Retrieve previously uploaded photos by querying DynamoDB for the S3 key. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, a company receives food orders from multiple partners. The company has a microservices application that uses Amazon API Gateway APIs with AWS Lambda integration. Each partner sends orders by calling a customized API that is exposed through API Gateway. The API call invokes a shared Lambda function to process the orders. Partners need to be notified after the Lambda function processes the orders. Each partner must receive updates for only the partner's own orders. The company wants to add new partners in the future with the fewest code changes possible. Which solution will meet these requirements in the most scalable way? Option A. Create a different Amazon Simple Notification Service Amazon SNS topic for each partner. Configure the Lambda function to publish messages for each partner to the partner's SNS topic. Option B. Create a different Lambda function for each partner. Configure the Lambda function to notify each partner's service endpoint directly. Option C. Create an Amazon Simple Notification Service Amazon SNS topic. Configure the Lambda function to publish messages with specific attributes to the SNS topic. Subscribe each partner to the SNS topic. Apply the appropriate filter policy to the topic subscriptions. Option D. Create one Amazon Simple Notification Service Amazon SNS topic. Subscribe all partners to the SNS topic. Correct answer is option C. Question is, a financial company must store original customer records for 10 years of legal reasons. A complete record contains personally identifiable information (PII). According to local regulations, PII is available to only certain people in the company and must not be shared with third parties. The company needs to make the records available to third-party organizations for statistical analysis without sharing the PII. A developer wants to store the original immutable record in Amazon S3. Depending on who accesses the S3 documents, the documents should be returned as is or with all the PII removed. The developer has written an AWS Lambda function to remove the PII from the document. The function is named remove PII. What should the developer do so that the company can meet the PII requirements while maintaining only one copy of the document? Option A. Set up an S3 event notification that invokes the remove PII function when an S3 GET request is made. Call Amazon S3 by using a GET request to access the object without PII. Option B. Set up an S3 event notification that invokes the remove PII function when an S3 put request is made. Call Amazon S3 by using a put request to access the object without PII. Option C. Create an S3 object Lambda access point from the S3 console. Select the remove PII function. Use S3 access points to access the object without PII. Option D. Create an S3 access point from the S3 console. Use the access point name to call the getObject legal hold S3 API function. Pass in the remove PII function name to access the object without PII. Correct answer is option C. Question is, a developer is deploying an AWS Lambda function. The developer wants the ability to return to older versions of the function quickly and seamlessly. How can the developer achieve this goal with the least operational overhead? Option A, use AWS OpsWorks to perform blue-green deployments. Option B, use a function alias with different versions. Option C, maintain deployment packages for older versions in Amazon S3. Option D, use AWS code pipeline for deployments and rollbacks. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, a company is building a serverless application on AWS. The application uses an AWS Lambda function to process customer orders 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The Lambda function calls an external vendor's HTTP API to process payments. During load test, a developer discovers that the external vendor payment processing API occasionally times out and returns errors. The company expects that some payments processing API calls will return errors. The company wants the support team to receive notifications in near real time only when the payment processing external API error rate exceeded 5% of the total number of the transactions in an hour. Developers need to use an existing Amazon Simple Notification Service, Amazon SNS topic that is configured to notify the support team. Which solution will meet these requirements? Option A, write the results of payment processing API calls to Amazon CloudWatch. Use Amazon CloudWatch logs insights to query the CloudWatch logs. Schedule the Lambda functions to check the CloudWatch logs and notify the existing SNS topic. Option B, publish custom metrics to CloudWatch that record the failures of the external payment processing API calls. Configure a CloudWatch alarm to notify the existing SNS topic when error rate exceeds the specified rate. Option C, publish the results of the external payment processing API calls to a new Amazon SNS topic. Subscribe the support team members to the new SNS topic. Option D, write the results of the external payment processing API calls to Amazon S3. Schedule an Amazon Athena query to run at regular intervals. Configure Athena to send notifications to the existing SNS topic when the error rate exceeds the specified rate. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, a developer maintains an Amazon API Gateway REST API. Customers use the API through a front-end UI and Amazon Cognito authentication. The developer has a new version of the API that contains new endpoints and backward incompatible interface changes. The developer needs to provide beta access to other developers on the team without affecting customers. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least operational overhead? Option A, define a development stage on the API Gateway API. Instruct the other developers to point the endpoints to the development stage. Option B, define a new API Gateway API that points to the new API application code. Instruct the other developers to point the endpoints to the new API. Option C, implement a query parameter in the API application code that determines which code version to call. Option D, specify new API gateway endpoints for the API endpoints that the developers wants to add. Correct answer is option A. Question is, a company wants to deploy and maintain static websites on AWS. Each website's source code is hosted in one of several versions control systems, including AWS Code Commit, Bitbucket, and GitHub. The company wants to implement phased releases by using development, staging, user acceptance testing, and production environments in the AWS cloud. Deployments to each environment must be started by code merges on the relevant Git branch. The company wants to use HTTPS for all data exchange. The company needs a solution that does not require servers to run continuously. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least operational overhead? Option A hosts each website by using AWS Amplify with a serverless backend conned with the repository branches that correspond to each of the desired environments. Start deployments by merging code changes to a desired branch. Option B hosts each website in AWS Elastic Beanstalk with multiple environments. Use the EBCLI to link each repository branch. Integrate AWS code pipeline to automate deployments from version control code merges. Option C hosts each website in different Amazon S3 buckets for each environment. Configure AWS code pipeline to pull source code from version control. Add an AWS code build stage to copy source code to Amazon S3. Option D hosts each website on its own Amazon EC2 instance. Write a custom deployment script to bundle each website's static assets. Copy the assets to Amazon EC2. Set up a workflow to run the script when code is merged. Correct answer is option A. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, a developer wants to expand an application to run in multiple AWS regions. The developer wants to copy Amazon Machine Images AMIs with the latest changes and create a new application stack in the destination region. According to company requirements, all AMIs must be encrypted in all regions. However, not all the AMIs that the company uses are encrypted. How can the developer expand the application to run in the destination region while meeting the encryption requirements? Option A. Create new AMIs and specify encryption parameters. Copy the encrypted AMIs to the destination region. Delete the unencrypted AMIs. Option B. Use AWS Key Management Service AWS KMS to enable encryption on the unencrypted AMIs. Copy the encrypted AMIs to the destination region. Option C. Use AWS Certificate Manager ACM to enable encryption on the unencrypted AMIs. Copy the encrypted AMIs to the destination region. Option D. Copy the unencrypted AMIs to the destination region. Enable encryption by default in the destination region. Correct answer is option A. Question is, a company has an application that uses Amazon Cognito User Pools as an identity provider. The company must secure access to user records. The company has set up multi-factor authentication MFA. The company also wants to send a login activity notification by email every time a user logs in. What is the most operationally efficient solution that meets this requirement? Option A. Create an AWS Lambda function that uses Amazon Simple Email Service Amazon SES to send the email notification. Add an Amazon API Gateway API to invoke the function. Call the API from the client side when login confirmation is received. Option B. Create an AWS Lambda function that uses Amazon's simple email service Amazon SES to send the email notification. Add an Amazon Cognito post authentication Lambda trigger for the function. Option C. Create an AWS Lambda function that uses Amazon's simple email service Amazon SES to send the email notification. Create an Amazon CloudWatch log subscriber filter to invoke the function based on the login status. Option D. Configure Amazon Cognito to stream all logs to Amazon Kinesis data firehose. Create an AWS Lambda function to process the streamed logs and to send the email notification based on the login status of each user. Correct answer is option B. Question is, a developer needs to perform geographic load testing of an API. The developer must deploy resources to multiple AWS regions to support the load testing of the API. How can the developer meet these requirements without additional application code? Option A. Create and deploy an AWS Lambda function in each desired region. Configure the Lambda function to create a stack from an AWS CloudFormation template in that region when the function is invoked. Option B. Create an AWS CloudFormation template that defines the load test resources. Use the AWS CLI create stack set command to create a stack set in the desired regions. Option C. Create an AWS Systems Manager document that defines the resources. Use the document to create the resources in the desired regions. Option D. Create an AWS CloudFormation template that defines the load test resources. Use the AWS CLI deploy command to create a stack from the template in each region. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, a developer is creating a template that uses AWS CloudFormation to deploy an application. The application is serverless and uses Amazon API Gateway, Amazon DynamoDB, and AWS Lambda. Which AWS service or tool should the developer use to define serverless resources in YAML? Option A. CloudFormation Serverless Intrinsic Functions. Option B. AWS Elastic Beanstalk. Option C. AWS Server Application Model AWS SAM. Option D. AWS Cloud Development Kit AWS CDK. Correct answer is option C. Question is, a development team maintains a web application by using a single AWS CloudFormation template. The template defines web servers and an Amazon RDS database. The team uses the CloudFormation template to deploy the CloudFormation stack to different environments. During a recent application deployment, a developer caused the primary development database to be dropped and recreated. The result of this incident was a loss of data. The team needs to avoid accidental database deletion in the future. Which solution will meet these requirements? Choose two options. Option A. Add a CloudFormation deletion policy attribute with the retain value to the database resource. Option B. Update the CloudFormation stack policy to prevent updates to the database. Option C. Modify the database to use a multi-AZ deployment. Option D. Create a CloudFormation stack set for the web application and database deployments. Option E. Add a CloudFormation deletion policy attribute with the retain value to the stack. Correct answer is option A and option C. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is an application that is hosted on an Amazon EC2 instance needs access to files that are stored in an Amazon S3 bucket. The application lists the objects that are stored in the S3 bucket and displays a table to the user. During testing, a developer discovers that the application does not show any objects in the list. What is the most secure way to resolve this issue? Option A. Update the IAM instance profile that is attached to the EC2 instance to include the S3 permission for the S3 bucket. Option B. Update the IAM instance profile that is attached to the EC2 instance to include the S3 list bucket permission for the S3 bucket. Option C. Update the developer's user's permission to include the S3 list bucket permission for the S3 bucket. Option D. Update the S3 bucket policy by including the S3 list bucket permission by setting the principal element to specify the account number of the EC2 instance. Correct answer is option B. Question is a company has deployed infrastructure on AWS. A development team wants to create an AWS Lambda function that will retrieve data from an Amazon Aurora database. The Amazon Aurora database in a private subnet in a company's VPC. The VPC is named VPC1. The data is relational in nature. The Lambda function needs to access the data securely. Which solution will meet these requirements? Option A. Create the Lambda function. Configure VPC1 access for the function. Attach a security group named SG1 to both the Lambda function and the database. Configure the security group inbound and outbound rules to allow TCP traffic on port 3306. Option B. Create and launch a Lambda function in a new public subnet that is in a new VPC named VPC2. Create a peering connection between VPC1 and VPC2. Option C. Create the Lambda function. Configure VPC1 access for the function. Assign a security group named SG1 to the Lambda function. Assign a second security group named SG2 to the database. Add an inbound rule to SG1 to allow TCP traffic from port 3306. Option D. Export the data from the Aurora database to Amazon S3. Create and launch a Lambda function in VPC1. Configure the Lambda function query the data from Amazon S3. Correct answer is option C. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is a development team wants to build a continuous integration, continuous delivery CI/CD pipeline. The team is using AWS Code Pipeline to automate the code build and deployment. The team wants to store the program code to prepare for the CI/CD pipeline. Which AWS service should the team use to store the program code? Option A. AWS Code Deploy. Option B. AWS Code Artifact. Option C. AWS Code Commit. Option D. Amazon Code Guru. Correct answer is option C. Question is a developer is designing a serverless application with two AWS Lambda functions to process photos. One Lambda function stores objects in an Amazon S3 bucket and stores the associated metadata in an Amazon DynamoDB table. The other Lambda function fetches the objects from the S3 bucket by using the metadata from the DynamoDB table. Both Lambda functions use the same Python library to perform complex computations and are approaching the quota for the maximum size of zipped deployment packages. What should the developer do to reduce the size of the Lambda deployment packages with the least operational overhead? Option A. Package each Python library in its own .zip file archive. Deploy each Lambda function with its own copy of the library. Option B. Create a Lambda layer with the required Python library. Use the Lambda layer in both Lambda functions. Option C. Combine the two Lambda functions into one Lambda function. Deploy the Lambda functions as a single .zip file archive. Option D. Download the Python library to an S3 bucket. Program the Lambda functions to reference the object URLs. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, a developer is working on a serverless application that needs to process any changes to an Amazon DynamoDB table with an AWS Lambda function. How should the developer configure the Lambda function to detect changes to the DynamoDB table? Option A. Create an Amazon Kinesis data stream and attach it to the DynamoDB table. Create a trigger to connect the data stream to the Lambda function. Option B. Create an Amazon Event Bridge rule to invoke the Lambda function on a regular schedule. Connect to the DynamoDB table from the Lambda function to detect changes. Option C. Enable DynamoDB streams on the table. Create a trigger to connect the DynamoDB stream to the Lambda function. Option D. Create an Amazon Kinesis data firehose delivery stream and attach it to the DynamoDB table. Configure the delivery stream destination as the Lambda function. Correct answer is option C. Question is, a developer is creating a mobile app that calls a backend service by using an Amazon API Gateway REST API. For integration testing during the development phase, the developer wants to simulate different backend responses without invoking the backend service. Which solution will meet these requirements with the least operational overhead? Option A. Create an AWS Lambda function. Use API Gateway Proxy integration to return constant HTTP responses. Option B. Create an Amazon EC2 instance that serves the backend REST API by using an AWS CloudFormation template. Option C. Customize the API Gateway stage to select a response type based on the request. Option D. Use a request mapping template to select the mock integration response. Correct answer is option D. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Hello everyone. Question is, an Amazon Kinesis data firehose delivery stream is receiving customer data that contains personally identifiable information. A developer needs to remove pattern-based customer identifiers from the data and store the modified data in an Amazon S3 bucket. What should the developer do to meet these requirements? Option A. Implement Kinesis data firehose data transformation as an AWS Lambda function. Configure the function to remove the customer identifiers. Set an Amazon S3 bucket as the destination of the delivery stream. Option B. Launch an Amazon EC2 instance. Set the EC2 instance as the destination of the delivery stream. Run an application on the EC2 instance to remove the customer identifiers. Store the transformed data in an Amazon S3 bucket. Option C. Create an Amazon OpenSearch Service instance. Set the OpenSearch Service instance as the destination of the delivery stream. Use search and replace to remove the customer identifiers. Export the data to an Amazon S3 bucket. Option D. Create an AWS step functions workflow to remove the customer identifiers. As the last step in the workflow, store the transformed data in an Amazon S3 bucket. Set the workflow as the destination of the delivery stream. Correct answer is option A. Question is, an application uses Lambda functions to extract metadata from files uploaded to an S3 bucket. The metadata is stored in Amazon DynamoDB. The application starts behaving unexpectedly and the developer wants to examine the logs of the Lambda function code for errors. Based on this system configuration, where would the developer find the logs? Option A. Amazon S3. Option B. AWS CloudTrail. Option C. Amazon CloudWatch. Option D. Amazon DynamoDB. Correct answer is option C. Question is, a developer is using AWS Amplify hosting to build and deploy an application. The developer is receiving an increased number of bug reports from users. The developer wants to add end-to-end testing to the application to eliminate as many bugs as possible before the bugs reach production. Which solution should the developer implement to meet these requirements? Option A. Run the amplify add test command in the amplify CLI. Option B. Create unit test in the application. Deploy the unit test by using the amplify push command in the amplify CLI. Option C. Add a test phase to the amplify.yml build settings for the application. Option D. Add a test phase to the AWS exports.js file for the application. Correct answer is option C. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Question is, a company has deployed an application on AWS Elastic Beanstalk. The company has configured the auto-scaling group that is associated with the Elastic Beanstalk environment to have 5 Amazon EC2 instances. If the capacity is fewer than 4 EC2 instances during the deployment, application performance degrades. The company is using the all-at-once deployment policy. What is the most cost-effective way to solve the deployment issue? Option A. Change the auto-scaling group to 6 desired instances. Option B. Change the deployment policy to traffic splitting. Specify an evaluation time of 1 hour. Option C. Change the deployment policy to rolling with additional batch. Specify a batch size of 1. Option D. Change the deployment policy to rolling. Specify a batch size of 2. Correct answer is option C. Question is, a developer wants to expose a legacy web service that uses an XML-based Simple Object Access Protocol SOAP interface through API Gateway. However, there is a compatibility issue since most modern applications communicate data in JSON format. Which is the most cost-effective method that will overcome this issue? Option A. Use API Gateway to create a RESTful API. Send the incoming JSON to an HTTP server hosted on an EC2 instance and have it transform the data into XML and vice versa before sending it to the legacy application. Option B. Use API Gateway to create a RESTful API. Transform the incoming JSON into XML using mapping templates. Forward the request into the SOAP interface by using a Lambda function and parse the response XML into JSON before sending back to API Gateway. Option C. Use API Gateway to create a RESTful API. Transform the incoming JSON into XML for the SOAP interface through an application load balancer and vice versa. Put the legacy wave service behind the ALB. Option D. Use API Gateway to create WaveSocket API. Transform the incoming JSON into XML using mapping templates. Forward the request into the SOAP interface by using a Lambda function and parse the response XML into JSON before sending back to API Gateway. Correct answer is option B. You can download the complete list of recently updated contents from the link provided in the description. If you like this content, please like and subscribe.